breakfast.
Good morning, and welcome to Comics for Breakfast. I'm your host, Jason Mink. If you've been watching the show for any length of time, then you're certainly well aware of our appreciation for the Atlas line of comics. Founded in 1974 by Martin Goodman, former publisher of Marvel Comics, Atlas Seaboard was a company built not on ideas, but on the concept of payback. Goodman, unhappy with Marvel violating the terms of his sale of the company, created a new publishing venture with an eye towards crushing his former property. To do this, he'd offer the highest page rates, an option for employees to work from home, and, most importantly, the rights to own their creations if and when Atlas ceased publication. It was a brilliant concept, but sadly, Goodman was about 2 decades ahead of his time, and after a year of losing money, he pulled the plug and settled into a long-deserved retirement. And yet, the legacy of Atlas Comics looms large, the little company that couldn't, but should have. Today, we're looking at 3 titles featuring Atlas heroes, for lack of a better word. We begin with Tiger Man #1 from April of 1975, written by Gabriel Levy and penciled and inked by Ernie Colon. And it's great! At the end of a long shift, a young nurse steps into an elevator. Unfortunately, she is not alone. 2 waiting thugs abduct her at knife point, intent on stealing her car. They don't get far, however, as the elevator door opens to reveal a startling sight. It's Tiger Man, and he viciously slashes one thug across the face before snapping his wrist like a Twix bar. Thug number 2 holds the nurse hostage at knife point, but doesn't count on his new foe's swiftness. Tiger Man rends the thug's eyes, blinding him before trading quips with the busty nurse. After all, it's just another day in New York City. Flashback 2 years to a ramshackle clinic in Zambia, where Dr. Lancaster Hill cleans and dresses a tiger victim's wound. Hill is fascinated by the local animals and their curious sixth sense of self-preservation and begins studying a caged tiger. After much experimentation, Hill believes he has isolated the chromosome that makes the tiger so tigerific? The rub is, he needs a test subject. And hey, his arm is right there, so he blasts off, no questions asked. Meanwhile, the local village healer, worried about losing his job to this pesky newcomer, frees Hill's lab tiger. Now loose, the great beast stalks and then attacks Hill, but is dropped by a single staggering blow to the throat. This doesn't stop the doc from savagely beating the animal anyway. Theirs is a complex relationship. 2 years passes fast when you're ganked on tiger blood, and before he knows it, Hill is on his way home. And hey, you know that tiger he killed? Well, the villagers all chipped in and made him a kink suit out of its skin. The 1970s were a wild time, man. Hill jets back to New York, where he's greeted by his sister, Anna. There's a bit of character establishing small talk. Anna's an up-and-coming actress who snagged her brother front-row seats for her big Broadway performance. Even better, it seems the doc has landed a new job at a nearby hospital. It seems things are looking up for the Hill kids, but then fate deals a cruel hand. Anna is set upon in her own apartment by thieves. Later, Hill is summoned to identify her body, where he gains 2 important clues in solving the case. The murderer is bald and smells of horses. The doc returns to his hotel room and dons his tiger skin leotard and a nutty mask, and presto, a new hero is born. But where does a tiger man find horses? In New York City.
He sniffs his way through town, seeking that equine scent, eventually arriving at Madison Square Garden. Tonight's the big rodeo, and Tiger Man slips in, unnoticed. Next up, it's Jake Milner, astride Thunder, the Wonder Horse. And though Thunder bucks and canters, it can't throw old skinhead Milner. Tiger Man, now convinced he's found his sister's killer, waits for Milner outside with the rest of the other cowboy groupies. His tiger sense determines that, while Milner is on his killer, there's another scent present. Tiger Man follows Milner to a bar on foot, leading to this hilarious panel. Someone get this guy a tiger-mobile. A few blocks later, Milner meets up with the Marlboro Man, and the two seem awfully chummy. Arm in arm, the pair head into Timmy's, tailed by our tigery friend. Jake gets soaked for a round of drinks, but takes it in good stride. He and his buddy start dancing around the jukebox together, much to the bartender and my dismay. The fellows decide to get ossified and find a couple of heifers, presumably to hold their hats while they head up to Brokeback Mountain, but the only date these two have is with the Undertaker. Tiger Man reveals himself, and these two have the nerve to make jokes at his expense. However, they learn right quick Tiger Man don't cotton to their hayseedery. Our hero leaps across the room and the cowboys shriek in terror. Skinhead begs for his life, but before Tiger Man can answer, the bartender attacks. The bigger man is flung aside. Vengeance burning in his yellow eyes, Tiger Man tears into the two cowboys. In moments, his foes are subdued, the fight torn out of them. But it's not enough. It's all gone too far. Someone must stand up to the murdering swine, and that someone is Tiger Man. Brutally dispatching his sister's killers, Tiger Man flees the scene. The criminals have been punished, but was it justice or vengeance? Had he not slain his sister's killers, would they not have killed again? And what about those creeps in the elevator? Surely they would have murdered the nurse had he not intervened. When all is said and done, he'll let the police do their job, but criminals best beware, for the Tiger Man is here.
So yeah, a far cry from comicdom's usually morally upright heroes. Murdering criminals, especially after they've been defeated, simply wasn't done in 1975. Sure, the Punisher had been icing his foes since February of the previous year, but that character was seen as more of an antagonist by Marvel, and certainly not positioned as a brightly colored superhero with his own comic book to sell. With his savage nature and willingness to kill, Tiger Man was clearly intended to buck modern comic conventions. Writer Gabriel Levy provides a quick and uncomplicated read, glossing over any considerations of morality and the use of power in favor of some fast and dirty violence. Ernie Colon's art is effective, if a touch thin in places. He certainly delivers a striking cover, which wouldn't have gone unnoticed on the newsstand, and also does a swell job of panels like this. That's a decent kitty. Tiger Man only ran for 3 issues, a fate shared by most Atlas titles. Still, that's a solid run compared to our next title, which was essentially a one and done over at Atlas anyway. It's Demon Hunter #1 from September of 1975. And you're probably asking yourself, what does a Demon Hunter do? Well, as much as he can to prevent xenogenesis. You know, the rebirth of the demon race here on Earth. Yeah, Gideon Cross here is fixin' to stop it. He's a telepath as well as a harvester of eyes with a magical cloak that can materialize arcane weaponry from beyond. He's but one man fighting alone against all the demons of hell and Earth. You got that?
Night. An assassin crouches on a hillside, drawing a bead on his appointed target. Only something unnerves the seasoned killer, as if he's being watched. And hey, it's Gideon Cross, the Demon Hunter himself. It turns out he knows his Gary guy from back during their army days. Gary always was a coward, so Cross gives him a choice: fight or jump from the cliff to his death. Gary, being Gary, jumps to the alarm of some party guests in the valley below. Pay no mind to the death screams, however. Nothing you need to be alarmed about. Moments later, Demon Hunter strides into the party, but an illusion makes him appear as just another guest. He reports to his boss, Mr. Severs, and the two shake on their successful kill. While paying off Cross with both money and a vial of his own freshly drawn blood, Severs fills Cross in on his latest target, Severs' partner and mafioso, Harvey Aldous. Aldous is headed to Jamaica on vacation, and Severs is determined to see that he never returns home. Cross departs, leaving Severs' men rattled. Back in his room, our hero contemplates just how he got here. A veteran of the Vietnam War, Cross returned home to an empty life. With no wife, no job, or prospects, he was willingly recruited into the cult of the Harvesters of Night. The cult gave Cross's life new purpose, but he balked at their terms of handing over a vial of his blood, and got away with it because the cult secretly needed him. You see, Cross is secretly a telepath whose powers make him the cult's most formidable agent. In his civilian guise, Cross accompanies boss Severs to the yacht. Once outside the 3-mile limit, a big drug deal goes down, all according to plan. Everything seems to be going great guns for Severs, which makes the newspaper headlines of the millionaire's suicide all the stranger. Cross is convinced his now ex-employer has been murdered, and only he can crack the case. Only someone is hunting Cross, freaky blue danskin demon Balbereth. The demon tries to snatch the flask that contains Severs' blood, but it's an illusion used by Cross to trick his foe. He beats the creature into submission, and it reveals it is not, in fact, Balbereth, but a lesser demon sent to slay Cross and obtain the blood flask. Cross dispatches this minor annoyance and catches a flight to Nigeria. Boy, these Atlas characters really racked up their frequent flyer miles. Cross travels to a distant mountain and a mysterious plateau, the so-called Dark Retreat of the Harvesters of Night, a pseudo-Stonehenge where Cross was first indoctrinated into the Brotherhood. In flashback, he faces off against a creepy demon, has his mind blown, and wakes up at the feet of the Grand Magus. We flash back to the present, where Cross slips unseen into the retreat. Inside of the circle, the placid illusion is broken, and he's witness to the climax of a blood ritual designed to transfer the essence of Astaroth, Grand Duke of Hell, into the still warm body of Cross's previous employer, Severs. Apparently, this is what it takes for Cross to decide the cult he's in is bad news. He learns that the group is a front for xenogenesis, the rebirth of the demon race on planet Earth. Remember? Shaken Cross returns to America to make his next move, but readers wouldn't see it. At least, they wouldn't see it from Atlas. Thanks to Atlas Comics ownership terms, Rick Buckler was able to take his character over to Marvel Comics, where he appeared as Devil Slayer with an identical backstory. And because third time's a charm, in 1980, the character appeared again under the name Bloodwing in the Rich Buckler-produced magazine Galaxia. Hey, why not? Sometimes God loves a trier. We wrap things up with yet another troubled hero, this time tempestuous teen Jay Hunter, in a tale told by Archie Goodwin, with pencils by Steve Ditko and inks by no less than Wally Wood. Born of fury, sworn to vengeance, he is the Destructor. He bursts from the city darkness, a figure grim and mysterious, moving with the speed, the instinct of a wild animal stalking its prey. Gunfire does not slow him. Crime cannot stop him, for he is the Destructor. The action begins far from New York City, way down in Harbor Town, where Max Raven and his gang work over a chump. Runner Jay Hunter drops the crime lord's daily gambling takeoff, making a buzz on his way out about wanting a bigger piece of the action. Unfortunately for Jay, he gets it. Returning home, the kid runs into his old man, whacked-out scientist Dr. Solomon Hunter. The doc is on the verge of success in his drive to create the world's first authentic superhero, a mantle he hopes young Jay will take on. Only the kid is more interested in crime, see? He cuts his pop down, but before the issue can be resolved, criminal cohort Blitz bursts into the lab and blasts both Jay and his father with a torrent of hot lead. The scientist leaps in front of his son, taking the brunt of the assault. He gives dying Jay his experimental serum before expiring, and hey, that stuff works fast. Jay revives just in time to witness his pop die. All frenzied up, the boy exhibits unnatural strength, requiring 2 grown men to hold him back. Overcome from the stress, Jay then passes out. The paramedics watch in horror as his body rapidly heals, literally expelling the bullets from his wounds. Recovering, Jay relieves the recent events, tortured by his poor judgment. At the same time, Raven puts a hit out on Blitz, convinced the hood will finger him. Soon, Jay revives. Lashing out in anger, the lad discovers he now has remarkable strength. He goes to the closet Pop had mentioned earlier and finds a suit waiting for him. While Jay may not be able to meet his father's dreams of being a hero, he can certainly bring Raven and his gang down as a smasher? No, a destroyer. Wait, a destructor. Night falls, and a colorfully clad character drops in on a gang of hijackers. Destructor comes on strong, disrupting the operating and bludgeoning 3 men with 1 pipe. Yowza! Jay trashes the joint, then sets fire to the place, discovering that danger and anger amplify his new power. Jay then calls Raven and tells the crime lord he's responsible, just the start of the hell to come. It's clear some major talent is needed to dispatch this new problem. Enter the Slaymaster. Here he is now, rubbing out a group of on-the-run bank robbers to show his bona fides. Slaymaster makes short work of the criminals, while at the same time, the Destructor wrecks one of Raven's heroin deals. Our hero slowly comes to an understanding of what he's become. Soon he arrives at the giant novelty company, one of Raven's known fronts, sneaking inside. The kid is overconfident and is shot not once, but twice. Slaymaster seems to have the upper hand thanks to his infrared goggles and voice-distorting mask, but Jay discovers another new power in the form of a daredevil-like radar sense. Note the circles. Using his heightened senses, Jay isolates his foe, then uses his remarkable abilities to leap straight up into the ductwork. He means to sneak up on the Slaymaster, but a creaking pipe gives our hero away. Slaymaster fires into the darkness, but Jay has already moved. The lad bursts through a giant novelty clown head and tags Slaymaster good. The 2 lock in desperate battle, but we cut away to Raven's hideout before we can see what's happened. There's a knock on the door, and hey, it's Slaymaster. Raven pours he and his cronies a celebratory drink, but, surprise, Slaymaster is the Destructor in disguise. Our hero, enraged, is about to reveal his identity to the crime lord, but just then Raven's men burst into the room and scrag their one-time boss. Destructor appears and takes out the gang before revealing to the dying Raven his true identity. The issue ends with a teary graveside denouement from our hero. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning.
The parallels between this book and Marvel's Spider-Man character couldn't be clearer. It's interesting to think that Ditko would be willing to work on a title so similar to his best-known success. Did the creator feel justified in essentially repeating the troubled teen learns responsibility through lost trope for his own gain? And what did Stan Lee think of this one-time collaborator producing such a blatant copy of his company's most successful character? As a wise old owl once said, the world may never know. Thank you for joining us. If you're keen on wise old owls, be sure and like, share, and subscribe. If you really give a hoot, well, maybe head over to the Old Guys Who Like Old Comics swag shop and pick up a Storm Owl t-shirt, a fantastic mug, or one of the other items that you can only find right there. I'm Jason Mink, and I hope to see you next week at breakfast.